So it's been nearly 12 years since I started selling PC hardware and computers as a side business. And throughout all the years, I always get the same question: is it worth it? How do I get started? How much money can I make? I want to discuss that and all the positives and negatives that come with getting into this little business. Also, stick around to see how easy it is to list a computer, how to tag it properly, how to take good photos, and also the challenges that come with actually listing something on a place like Facebook Marketplace. So there's a few things I want to say before I start recommending strategies for people if they want to get into this. If you're first getting into this because you just built your first machine and you're like, oh, I have the itch to build now, I want to build another one, don't go out and buy a whole bunch of brand new parts and then throw your assembly cost on top of it and then post it. You're probably going to have a hard time selling it. Most people are going to say, oh, that's just a used computer, and why should I trust you? So the best way you can start doing something like this is kind of taking the freelancing approach. You can post up on your local marketplace that you'll offer a free build, or you can just ask friends and family that might want a computer. I know in 2023 it's becoming a little more complicated. I feel like everyone has a computer, but believe me, there's always somebody new trying to get one, and you can come across people just by word of mouth. Once you get your first couple of computers built, whether it was a friend or family member, post them up for sale as if you're going to sell them. You can use places like Facebook, Mercari, OfferUp, any of those local marketplaces. Post them up, and then you have your relative or friend that actually owns the PC buy it off of you and leave you a review. If you do this a couple of times, you'll get a small review base, and then you'll become more trustworthy when it's time to go and sell the actual first computer. So once it's time to get all the parts together for the first computer you're actually going to sell, this is kind of where it gets complicated because you have two different options you can pick. You can go with the all-new approach, or you can go with the used hardware approach. I personally always like to do a mixture of brand new hardware with some used components, as you can maximize your profit, but you do have to remember that there is some inherent risk going out and buying other people's used hardware. So let's start with the motherboard and processor. The first thing you want to do is figure out your budget. And I can tell you this, the $600 to $700 range is the easiest budget to sell on any marketplace. If you go lower, obviously it'll be easier depending on your specs. The higher you go, the harder it's going to be to sell. Any custom water loops or any 13900K systems just are not easy to sell. Most people don't have that kind of cash to burn. So stick within the below 1,000 and try to keep it around $700 to $800 at most. Now, obviously your local marketplace is going to vary depending on where you're from, but here's a great example right here. For $200, we have a B550 motherboard with a Ryzen 5 5600X, M.2 SSD, and 16 gigs of RAM. This is actually something that I would consider picking up. I might even message this person right now. But before you run out and start buying any parts blind, make sure to ask a few questions. For an example, you should always ask for more pictures if they don't have any more pictures. In this circumstance, because it's priced very aggressively, I'm not even going to ask. I'm just going to go there and take the risk and see if I can check the pins on the AMD processor and check for anything that might be a little bit questionable on the motherboard, memory, or NVMe SSD that's included. These combo deals are the best way to get the most return in investment, but just remember, again, it is a little bit risky. DDR4 right now is so cheap that you could just go and buy a motherboard and CPU combo and then get the RAM new, but I would suggest if you can find a complete kit that's a decent deal, then go for that. So the next major components we need are a power supply, a GPU, a case, which will actually probably go new because used cases just look really bad when you're trying to sell hardware. But let's look around at GPUs. Here we have a quick find, a Zotac RTX 3060 for $220. So we're at $420 so far. Let's move on to the PSU. Now, when looking for power supplies, it's a little bit different. I prefer to buy them brand new. I buy a lot of EVGA power supplies and Thermaltake power supplies as they are a lot cheaper. I don't go for the bottom of the barrel ones. Nobody should ever. This is a good example of a decent 500 watt. You have a 80 plus gold with a 5-year warranty. But if you get pretty good at looking around, you can go to places like EVGA's B stock. And here's a good one, a EVGA 550 watt bronze, and it's $44. So let's add that to our total. So I did send a message to the seller to see what size NVMe he has in that combo, and he claimed there's a 500 gigabyte, which is a pretty good solid start. You'll probably be able to put like Modern Warfare on there and maybe one other game, but storage is really cheap right now, so you can kind of factor that in at the end. But let's look at cases, as the presentation of the computer is very important. Now, right out of the gate, I just saw this O11 Mini knockoff, which actually looks pretty nice. It has ventilation in the rear, just like the O11, and has a 4.6 rating on Newegg. And this is only $64 and you get free shipping. But there's one problem with this ad, and this is where it's going to screw you over. This acts like it comes with fans or posts it in a very confusing manner. Gaming computer case with dual tempered glass panel without RGB fans, white. It almost seems like it comes with white fans, but when you actually look at it closely, it doesn't come with any fans at all, so we're gonna skip this case. So here's a pretty nice case from Montech. Montech is a pretty popular brand now. It's been growing a lot lately, and I would say that this is a really good deal. $73, you get all 6 of the fans, and it does look stylish. The other thing too I have noticed over the years is that for whatever reason, white computer cases sell faster than black computer cases. So in a relatively short period of time, I was able to browse around the internet and find some pretty good deals to make a computer that costs a total of $537. Now, of course, you have to go out and buy those parts, and one of them was actually over 40 minutes from me, but at that price range, I think it would be worth the drive to go and get it. The other thing I like to do with a lot of my computers is add in extensions, as it does really kind of complete the look and make the PC look more premium. But just to give you an example of what you can compare this to, here's an example of a computer for $999 with basically identical specs except for the 1 terabyte NVMe, which I said before is very cheap now. So when you go to post your ad, you can actually mention how expensive these other computers are versus your machine that you just built, tested, and cleaned. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that if you do this long enough, eventually you're going to get hosed and someone's going to sell you some bad hardware. So I do really emphasize the importance of checking it or having them send you pictures, especially if you're buying Intel. Always check the CPU socket. If you're buying AMD, always check those pins. I have a bunch of bad boards that I still have to fix that people gave to me during the 2020 beginning of pandemic, where everyone was kind of selling real crappy stuff. Luckily, that's slowed down a lot, so there's a less chance of you getting burned today. But just something to keep an eye on. Now, obviously, I don't have all these parts I just showed you right now. I'm gonna have to try and get them, and there's a chance that someone else might beat me to them. But I'm gonna use an older computer that I built to post a ad on Facebook, and we're gonna walk through how to do that. And then I'm gonna show you how crazy it's gonna get within the first couple of minutes and how to avoid getting scammed. So on Facebook, you just wanna go to create a new ad and go to item for sale. And then the biggest part about posting any new item is really good photos and a really good description. So I'm gonna use this older PC here. Just ignore all these funny things. And I'm gonna input all these images. And the most important thing is picking the first image that someone's going to see. So the money shot, and I believe that this one is probably the nicest. So I'm going to put that as my first image. Then you got to come up with a decent title. So this is a GTX 1080 PC. So we will type GTX custom loop. And now this is an older computer, so I'm going to price it on the lower side of $479. And you're going to go down to computers, and then at the very end, I believe, oh, right here, desktop computers. Condition, used, good, or like new. I always do like new, just because I usually use new cases. So even though this does not have a 4060 in it, just put 4060. And you can put i7, Intel, AMD. All of these kind of tags that you want to put on here are going to help your ad pop up in random places, and there might be a person that's looking for this and doesn't even know it. And it's just, it's basically marketing. So always use this, always add as many tags as you can think of and things that are relevant to help you with your sale. Next, once you have listed a few places, you can start actually adding new marketplaces to list in. And this is specific to Facebook, but other apps for selling do similar things. So just try to do everything possible to keep your ad in as many places as possible. At the end, just check your listing to make sure it looks good. And then it's pretty much a waiting game. All right, and here's where the scams start to happen right out of the gate. And once you get through a few of these, you'll be okay, but we're gonna play along with this guy for a minute. They want to call me. Yeah, sure. Want my number? I said wants. Just ignore my terrible typing right now. Please send me your cell phone number. Now, don't fall for this stupid trap. This person is basically just trying to fish you. Now, I'm going to be a little creative and give him this number here that usually I give to creeps. All right, let's see what he says. They claim to be Crystal, but they're not Crystal. Okay, I got your post, but for my safety, can I send you a code number to make sure you are real? Yes, please. You're so thoughtful. Now, during this time, I've also got another message from this person. Yes, it is. There's a really solid chance that this Angelica girl is also fake. Okay, I'm interested. Can you give me your cell? Gave her that fake cell phone number. Okay, I got your post. Can I pay cash for my safety? At first, I can send the 6 digits code to make sure you're real. Yes, please. This other person says, I'm a serious buyer, so if you're real, just show the code. Check your phone message, show me the code. Code is 6669999. Or maybe it is 123456. I forget. So before you start saying something like, oh, I know you're a scam, don't even do that. Actually, what you want to do is you want to go to more options and then report the buyer. And then you can just tell Facebook that they're a scam, and a lot of times the profile will get removed. So you just want to go here, it's a scam, and report them. And sure enough, their profile will be gone soon. And once you get through that whole entire 20 scams out of the first half hour of you posting something, eventually real people will come and try to buy your product. So obviously using websites like Facebook, OfferUp, all these marketplace websites, you can use them for as long as you want, but eventually if you start selling a lot, your word of mouth will take off. And the other way to kind of do that is to join groups on places like Facebook and Reddit. For an example, on Facebook, there's a Rhode Island computer parts group that I belong to, and pretty much everyone in that group posts every day, and there are people constantly looking for computers, and your name will just start kind of coming out. Somebody will say, hey, Kyle James is selling this computer, and the next thing you know, you have a message and you haven't even posted your computer for sale yet. A few other really important things is not getting stuck up on hardware. For an example, if you know somebody's looking to play Roblox and Minecraft, there's no reason you should be looking for a 2070 or a 3070. Something like a GTX 1060 and an older i7 will do just fine, and oftentimes the best value for you and the customer can come from those older parts. The other thing that is really important, and I emphasize this the most, is staging and your photography. Now, originally I was going to film this part a little bit before when I was showing you how to set up the Facebook ad, but you were able to see a few pictures there, and I'll throw a few pictures up on the screen right now to get a good idea of the angles and types of shots that you want. But the other most important thing is actually the staging and how you set up your computer. You want to have good shots, but you also want to have things like peripherals in the image, which you can also offer to sell if you want. So maybe pick up some cheap peripherals you see online. Lighting, having some RGB in the background, having some boxes in the background. All these small things will really show the customer that you put a lot of time and effort into the whole package, not just the PC itself, but the actual ad and what you're focused on in the ad. You can also offer things like warranties. I always give 30 or 90 days depending on what it is. And if it's all new parts, I'll do a warranty as far as the parts warranty itself goes from the manufacturer. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like. If you want to leave me a comment about what your thoughts are on this, is this something you would be interested in doing? And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.